Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. We're going to jump right in today to the mid-June love reading for the sign of Capricorn. Alright, Capricorns, hope you're doing good. Excuse me. So, we're going to get your cards out. I've been meditating on you guys for quite some time. I hope all is well. It's the first half of the year, right? We're getting into summertime, summer solstice coming up. A lot of changes around this time. A lot of readings are talking about self-improvement, you know, doing shadow work, working on your spirituality, you know, your emotional maturity. So far, a lot of readings have been centering around that, even the love readings. So we're going to see what it's all about for you today, Capricorn. I'm going to get 2 cards out for you and your partner or possible partner coming in. And you got, you deserve love, Capricorn. You're lovable. And calling in your soulmate, right? Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you two together. So this just came out, excuse me, for Sagittarius as well. And at the bottom of the deck we have, it is safe for you to love. This card came out for you guys last time, I think, during the weekly tarot read. So that's quite interesting. You deserve love, and it's safe for you to love. Calling in your soulmate. So is there apprehension there? We'll see. We're going to pull out your 9 cards. Let us know what's going on with Capricorn this mid-June in love. Those who have love, seek to have love, and hold on to love. Or perhaps those who seek to be on a solo journey or to come out of a relationship that no longer serves them or is positive for their life path. Sometimes we're going into relationships or coming out of them, you know. Sometimes we prefer to be on our own. It's all about love and what we want at that time in our lives, right? So let's see what's going on for Capricorn this mid-June. Show me. Show me. All right, Capricorns. You've got 3 of Wands. Yep, moving forward. High Priestess, 5 of Swords, 8 of Cups, the Sun, wow, 6 of Pentacles, 8 of Wands, a lot of opportunity, Knight of Pentacles, 7 of Wands, wow, at the beginning, bottom of the deck, Ace of Wands, new passion, new love, possible new relationship, right, new adventure. Something that really gets your blood pumping, something new. A lot of times this can be a new relationship. It can also be a new project, right, that you're very passionate about. But right away, Sun is in the center, right? So you certainly, it's all about love, being, you know, fulfillment, right? Coming into your own, completing a cycle, right? Elevating yourself. All right, but let's start at the top, 3 of Wands. So you're certainly looking to the future now, Capricorn. It's all about you and your future. You're looking at the horizon. You're looking at your forward motion, where you want to be. Your eyes are firmly set on the horizon, you know, your future. All right, it could also be your future in terms of, you know, the type of person you want to be with, calling in your soulmate. I almost feel like part of this is very much you kind of sending that message out right now. Whereas before, a lot of this movement and forward movement has revolved around career or getting your work on, you know, moving forward with your work, taking the next step with your work or your creative adventures, right? The things that stoke your passions, right? That you like to work for. Capricorns love their work many times. They are in, you know, their work and their passions are synonymous in terms of what they, you know, if they're musicians, they're making money from their music career. You know what I mean? But also, I feel like very much you are kind of pulling in now this energy, this kind of calling in this love energy, as well as looking forward in your future. High Priestess is here. So it's talking about, getting a lot of signs coming in. You might be feeling quite intuitive right now, feeling a little more spiritual than you have been, feeling like things seem to keep happening in a kind of fortuitous way. You start to get, perhaps there's occurrences coming into your life that just seem a little bit more kind of like predestined or fated, right? And it's getting you to think more on a spiritual level right now. Also, your intuition is just kicked into high gear with the High Priestess. So it's important at the center, right? Because the High Priestess is here over this Sun card, which is also at the bottom, the Knight of Pentacles and opportunity coming in. So Priestess also talks about definitely engaging your intuition, your gut feelings, your experience, everything you've learned up until now, your wisdom. Taking advantage of that to know how to make the right decision to go forward. Five of Swords is here, so definitely there's been some power struggle. There's definitely been some back and forth somewhere along the line for you, Capricorn. It could be that there's been kind of like some really deceptive energy going on with you in a love relationship, right? It could have been, seems to me like it may have been a back and forth. Five is power struggles, right? So it could be that either probably in your previous relationships, and I'll tell you why in a minute because we have Eight of Cups here, but probably in your most previous serious relationships, there were a lot of power struggles and arguments, cheap shots, perhaps, perhaps a little bit of guilt tripping, gaslighting, making you feel bad for things that, you don't think were your fault. I think you feel like that a little bit. I think you feel like there's been a lot of, I think also perhaps I'm not sure if you feel as though that you played a part in that as well too. Perhaps you're not completely happy with your behavior. But in either case, it definitely feels like an energy you want to leave behind. You know what I mean? A type of relationship that you've had before that you want to leave behind. And I think part of that is this kind of like High Priestess energy coming in terms of like you realizing some things, right? Perhaps having a bit of an epiphany, about your life and about some of the decisions that you've made in relationships. Because the reason I say that is because here is Eight of Cups. And this is you deserve love card, right? Because eight is all about weaknesses and strengths, knowing your weaknesses and strengths, your limitations, your boundaries. It's like Saturn energy, eights. And here you're realizing you're realizing your limits. You're realizing now in eight you kind of set your boundaries, right? And you kind of set criteria now also in relationships that perhaps you haven't set before. Maybe before you kind of will put up with a lot of kind of nonsense or kind of go, as you go with the flow type of thing. And then like, it will end up in fighting and arguing. But now it's kind of like you're realizing that a lot of this is the type of relationships that you've chosen. The fact that you haven't set limits, you haven't set boundaries for certain behavior, right? Certain kind of like patterns of behavior. And you're realizing that now, and that wisdom and experience is allowing you to now kind of ascend. You're going to leave these kind of shallow relationships behind. It's like the difference between the type of relationship you would have when you're, a young person compared to older and wiser, and you know what you want and you know what you're willing to put up with, right? And that's where you're kind of at right now. And so therefore, yeah, you are calling in your soulmate because you're kind of realizing that up until now you haven't been in the right frame of mind to call in your soulmate, or perhaps you have been more attracted to that kind of power struggle relationship for whatever reason. But now you're kind of laying it down. You're looking to the future and you're realizing that it doesn't really serve you. You're starting to kind of pick up that, it hasn't worked, right? I mean, maybe in the short term it seems like it does, but in the long term it doesn't. Because here you are walking away. And Sun is enlightenment. You feel kind of relieved. I think you're going to go through a period of feeling really kind of unburdened from this. Coming to this realization is going to unburden you a lot, Capricorn, in terms of, I think you're going to feel a lot freer, a lot more positive about your love life now. You're certainly going to feel more confident. So yes, you are lovable. You're going to, I think you feel lovable as well as a result of this change, as a result of this kind of decision to move forward, right? To move forward towards relationships that you know are good for you. It just feels very freeing for you as well, right? And then on the other side as well is this kind of satisfaction in money. You've got your money issues. You feel good. Right now you're doing good with money, right? Six of Pentacles talks about having a really good, balanced, harmonious relationship with money, right? So you're comfortable, right? You're not in any, you have a healthy attachment to it. You understand how to work for it, but you also know when to give it away. You're generous, so it's comfortable. You don't feel like you have to hold on to every penny, right? You're not worried about it necessarily. And this is not to mean that you're filthy rich or anything, but you're just comfortable with money. You've gotten to a point where, that part of your life, right, is stable. It's stable and you're comfortable. And that always makes you feel better, Capricorn. That always brings like a feeling of unburdening to you. Because for you, being comfortable and stable financially is very important in order for you to feel comfortable in a relationship. And here come the opportunities. So 8 of Wands, right? Many opportunities, right? Many options coming in. You're going to have to discern which ones are good, which ones aren't, which ones are the type of options, the type of opportunity you want to take. This could also mean sometimes when you become overwhelmed with your own ideas, when you come to like a point, and this can happen as well sometimes when you free yourself of like certain burdens and certain kind of hang-ups. You get like a burst of creativity, right? So sometimes this can also indicate having your finger in too many pots, right? Having too many projects on the go. You may need to focus down. You may become, you know what I mean? You may be spreading yourself a little bit thin, all right? So be careful of that in this coming time, especially with the excitement of the sun. You certainly feel very excited. Ace of Wands here, so this is like passionate, right? Really fiery new beginning in life, whether it's a relationship or a new start in life. So certainly take care, right? Take care in terms of focusing your creative energy. Sometimes also suitors can come in like this, right? You can have multiple options in love coming in. And then also it's an admonishment to take care in your choices that you make, right? Knight of Pentacles coming in. So again, forward motion in your career, forward motion in whatever projects that you're making money with, whatever opportunities that you're making, that you're getting tangible progress in, right? That's kind of at the bottom of your good feeling. Like I said, you've got a really harmonious feeling right now with money. You feel quite comfortable. You may not be filthy rich, but you're certainly comfortable and you feel confident to be able to help others as some people may come to you as a benefactor, and that's something that makes you feel good to be able to do that. But there's certainly more forward motion coming in, right? That's not it. There's more. That's not like it's not only going to stay there, right? You certainly have more opportunity coming in and more progress to go in that area. And also you will have 7 of Wands. You perhaps will need to reevaluate some of your goals, right? Because there might be some obstacles coming your way that you haven't anticipated. And you may have to come up with a very creative way around them. This could be obstacles that you didn't know were going to come up in your career, right? Now that perhaps you're on your first leg, or now that perhaps you're expanding whatever your career is, your business, right, your project, there are obstacles coming in that are a bit of a surprise, and you're certainly going to have to perhaps reevaluate some of your goals or some of your paths or some, the decision-making processes that you've taken. You may have to come up with something a bit more creative to get around these obstacles. That's what Seven of Wands talks about, coming up with creative solutions to problems that come your way, you know. Give me a little bit of clarity on our lovely, lovely Capricorns and their reading for mid-June, please. Show me some deeper insight. Let me see a little deeper into what's going on in their love life in June. Show me. Alright, we're going to pull some extra cards like I always do to get a little deeper insight into what's going on. Sagittarius, Temperance, Lovers, beautiful. Five of Swords. Five of Swords has come out to clarify. Five of Swords. The Devil. Three of Discs for gain. Seven of Cups. Four is the Emperor. High Priestess comes in the exact opposite. And Prince of Cups. There you go. Bottom of the deck is Prince of Discs. So Prince of Discs is the same kind of as the excuse me, as the Knight, right? I'm sorry. The Prince of Discs is like the Knight, but the Princess of Discs is like the Page, right? So you have the Knight here already. So he's coming back in to clarify at the bottom of the deck. So again, certainly your forward motion in your abundance and in your career is not stopping. It's still coming in. You know, may not come in fast like some opportunities do, but it's coming in steady, right? You're going to have a steady stream of increased income, right? But let's start at the top and clarify. Yeah, temperance is what is needed right now. You're looking forward, right? But yeah, you're also doing a lot of internal work in terms of tempering some of your emotions, going inside and reflecting on some of the things that may have blocked you in moving forward in terms of relationships, because this is a love reading, right? So it's definitely when you're looking forward to relationships, like I said before, a lot of times the Three of Wands talks about looking forward in terms of like your passion or your goals for your life, right? Your kind of targets, you know, your vision, the vision board that you have for your life. But here in the love reading can also, here I feel very much it's like you looking forward to a future with someone, a relationship, a family, building a family, you know. And I think part of you, you know, you do right now, you are kind of like exercising a lot of temperance in yourself in terms of your desire and what you want to go for, right? You've had a lot of sorrow here. Five of Swords, you know, comes out to clarify Five of Swords. So there's certainly been a lot of power struggles, right? And I feel like when I say temperance, it's almost like you're trying to stop yourself from kind of repeating the cycle, right? So you're holding yourself back from repeating the cycle. You realize, right, what is needed for you to find love. You realize now, right? You're having an internal awakening about the cycles that you've caught yourself up in, and you realize the key to it is to stop getting in those cycles, and part of it is exercising temperance, right? And that's what comes out of the High Priestess is a lot of times you get either epiphanies or realizations, right, about what's really going on in your life, you know, and you can't help but face them, right? Here's Five of Swords coming out to clarify Five of Swords. It's certainly been a very difficult period in terms of communication. Like I said, it's been relationships certainly that have included a lot of petty communication, a lot of like nah, you know, getting over on each other, playing like petty little power trips and power games. You know what I mean? Sometimes some relationships are like that, you know, and it's just like, when you're looking at it from the outside in, you say, like, how are these two people even together, you know? But from the inside, it's like they're almost just stuck, like just tit for tatting each other, you know? And you realize that this is just, like, not what you want anymore. It's just not going to bring what you want, right? Here, Devil has come out here to clarify your Eight of Cups. Interestingly enough, again, like I say, Eight of Cups is all about boundaries, right? Setting boundaries for yourself. disciplining yourself, staying disciplined. You know, to turn your back on a certain set of behaviors that get you caught up in the same type of relationships, you have to be disciplined about that. You know, it's not easy to do, or else we would all do it, right? So that means you have to stay away from places. You know, for instance, an example is like if your type, for instance, is the bad girl or the bad boy or a certain type of personality that when you hook up with them or when you get into a relationship with them, it's always drama, 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 right? And you're kind of addicted a little bit to that drama, right? But you also know that you're just unhappy in that relationship. Truly, in the long run, you're unhappy. Well, trying to stay away from those type of relationships requires discipline. And so that's what the Eight of Cups talks about. That's why eight is associated with limitations, discipline, setting boundaries, right? Because it's hard to do that. Now, with the Devil card coming out to clarify that, that lets you know that, yes, there are temptations there for you, Capricorn, that may pull you back into those type of relationships. There are certain temptations. It could be sex. You know, it could be some kind of activity that you enjoy, partying, you know, whatever, right? Whatever kind of like pleasurable activity, drinking, eating in fine restaurants, going out at night, or partying, whatever that is, right? That is the temptation perhaps that you need to pay attention to that kind of calls you back to the same old type of relationships. And so if you want to transcend that, you need to take that energy and focus it. The only thing with the Devil card that makes it negative is when that energy is out of control. When you have passion and lust and kundalini energy, sexual energy, if it's focused, then it's highly creative, right? You can see that, the potential for creativity, right? In the orbs, right? That's what that means. It's a potential for creativity that when focused, right, that you get great works of art. You get the Sistine Chapel, or you get sculpture, you get music, you get poetry, you get ingenuity and invention. But it's when it's chaotic or when it's not focused, and when you're just kind of like wallowing in the pleasures but without any kind of higher objective, that's when you're a slave. And that's when you're a slave to temptation and to that energy. And that's when you don't ascend. You don't get any higher. You get kind of stuck, right? And that's the negative, or let's say the warning of the Devil card. It's not that the devil in and of itself is bad. It's just that if you are a slave to the devil, if you're a slave to those type of passions, and you don't know how to focus that kind of energy, right, into something positive, that is where you falter, and you'll end up back into the same old cycle. Sun, three of discs. So again, right? So three of discs talks about you doing well, gaining works, accolades, right? People are recognizing you in your field. And again, like I say, for you, Capricorn, that's very important, right? It's very important that you are recognized in your field. You work hard for it, right? But it's something that uplifts you, and that's not a negative thing, but that's just how you are. That's how you're built, right? You enjoy that. It gives you a sense of stability. You know, the goat needs to stand, right? They need to be stable. The mountain goat climbs up on all of these kind of rocky ledges that are precarious, and he finds stability, and it's his ability to find stability in that makes him feel confident, right? That makes him feel like he's in his own. And so the Three of Pentacles comes in when when you have stability in your work, when you start to get recognized for your work. It's Mars and Capricorn energy, right? So it's you. It's your energy and Mars in your sign moving forward, you know, and that's what makes you feel so good right now and so confident. Seven of Cups is here over that Six of Pentacles. So Seven of Cups talks about debauchery, right? So too much of a good thing. Take care. Take care that, you know, now that perhaps you've come to a level with money that you don't go again. I think that Seven of Cups is almost taking you back to your own old cycles of relationships where it's debauch, right? You see it at the bottom. It's like too much sex, too much luxury, too much eating, too much this, without any kind of air, which is would be communication, or fire, which is real passion or inspiration. It's just lusty, it's just carnal, it's just, and so the water gets very murky. The water, which would represent your emotions, aren't renewed. They become dark and murky and stale and depressing, right? So this is what happens when you overindulge. This is what happens when you are too much in devil, right? When you take too much of that kind of like slave to temptation, too much sex, too much just playing, partying, enjoying yourself, but not, not taking care, of your spirit or of other people's hearts, even. And it can be vice versa. This can be you and your partner, but this card certainly comes up when you're playing a part in this. This is not an energy that's being put on you. This is certainly something you've taken a part in, and you have to take care not to do it again. Certainly now that the money is feeling a bit more comfortable. Certainly now that you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. So take heed. Right? Because again, that's going to take you right back to where you were here, which was like back to relationships that are very like defeatist and shallow. It's going to defeat what you're doing, the discipline that you're putting in here in terms of your Eight of Cups, of walking away from those type of relationships. Here we go. Emperor clarifies the Eight of Wands. So this is what I was talking about earlier in terms of like as well. 8 being disciplined. Well, the Emperor is one of the most disciplined, stable cards, right? For stability. So discipline, stability, and discipline are, roll into one for you, Capricorn, right? And so, exercising, that Emperor, that leader in you, that focus, right? That working towards stability in all things is what's going to help you with whatever situation is coming up here, where you seem to have a lot of options to choose from, or your environment might get a little bit chaotic with a lot of choices. You don't know how to make them. It could be like, do I move here? Do I move there? I have 3 options for a job. I could go this way. I could go that way. Like when you have so many different options coming in, or you're coming up with so many different solutions, creative solutions, and they all seem kind of viable to a certain degree, get into kind of like that, that focus, focus. Remember what stabilizes you. For the Emperor could also be, right, a friend, a colleague, a brother, a relative, right? Someone who has very strong masculine leadership qualities, and they may help you make this decision, right? Sometimes we have mentors in our life, and we have people who come in our lives who we truly respect. It being the Emperor, it's going to be somebody you really, really look up to. It most certainly will be some kind of family member that you're very close to, or someone, even if they're not blood, you will consider them family, right? You respect them very much. Clearly, this is the card for Aries. It does not have to be an Aries. It could be any sign. Please don't get caught up on signs with these type of things, especially with tarot cards, because astrology is a construct that's been put onto tarot cards at a later date. There is no origin for astrological energies in the cards, right? So this is more to do with the Tree of Life, for being stability, all right? The stability that the Emperor shows in leadership. And so, yes, although it is the card for Aries, it could be any sign. But the most important thing is that it's somebody who has these characteristics, somebody you very much trust, who's close to you, who is a leader to you, who can help you. And certainly reach out to them, especially if it's getting overwhelming. Nobody said you had to do this on your own. Here comes the High Priestess to clarify this Knight of Pentacles. Remember what I said earlier, right? This is all part of one line. You've got High Priestess up here and High Priestess down here. This means go with your gut, right? If in doubt, if part of these options here have something to do with your career, or where you should take your career, or where you should move with your career, go with your gut. Go with your intuition. Go with your mentorship here. Help, if you have this person here, but also certainly go with your gut. Go with what you believe in. And also up here, interestingly enough, you have the Lovers clarifying the High Priestess. Go where the love is. Go where you know your heart is. All right. This is all part of the same energy, really. Right. And at the center is your work, your career, and the sun, which a lot of times can also mean happiness and love, right? The combination. Because there's a child there. The child is a product of love. So it implies a happiness in love. Although there's an aspect to the 19th Sun card of being solitary in your happiness. There is a warning there of being alone in your happiness. Do you want to be alone? Sometimes we're in the center of the sun, but we're still alone. There's only one character there, even though it's a child, right? So that's a small flip side to the sun, because 9 talks about being solitary, 9 being the hermit. The first 9 is the hermit. So sometimes we can elevate and aspire. You can be, as a lot of times artists talk about this, famous people talk about this. They talk about being at the pinnacle, the height of their fame, and yet still feeling alone. All right. So is that what you want, right? And here you have 3 of Pentacles. You're the fact that people are recognizing you for your work is making you feel great, right? And but also, you know, you want to share that, right? Don't you want to share that with somebody? And I guess that's a decision for you to make, right? But seeing as this is all part of one kind of central energy for you, that's how there's aspects in the 9 card spread that are quite interesting. But and for the High Priestess to come out, right, on both top and bottom, and then you have Knight of Pentacles down here to represent the work aspect coming in, and here you have the Lovers to represent your love aspect, and inner center, it coalesces here like this, right? So the message here is that High Priestess is talking about going very deep into yourself. Trust your intuition, trust your gut, follow your heart. Don't make decisions based on pure logic or pure sort of like numbers, right? What seems to be the best in numbers, right? Because you may miss out on a bigger opportunity where you can not only gain financially in your career, but you can bring the love in, the soulmate energy, love in, you know, which would eventually lead to this. Isn't this beautiful? Right. So there's a possibility there for that. But again, High Priestess is really kind of like, you know, the message, right? In terms of how will you pull that in? How will you decide which of these opportunities to take so that you can stay on your path? Very, very interesting, right? Down here as well, you have, for the final card now, you've got, like I said earlier, in terms of the 7 of Wands coming in, and you having to think very creatively to come up with some obstacles that may come your way, right? Prince of Cups, this talks about being, you know, open with your feelings, facing up to your feelings. So whereas the Queen of Cups has faced her feelings and accepts them and mirrors her feelings on as below so above, the Prince of Cups is still kind of at that stage of trying to understand his feelings. If you see, he's the eagle that he's kind of riding, right? It's just skimming the surface of the water. It's not diving into it, but it's just skimming the surface. So he's just beginning to skim the surface of his feelings. He's just beginning to start to get a little bit deeper with the lotus flower hanging down over the water, right? To mirror his feelings. So he's just, this is so this is also part of some of the obstacles that you might be having, right? So here you have these options coming in. You're trying to decide, but then also I think sometimes you feel like there's some obstacles that come your way, right? And part of that is well, I'm not going to say need, but the necessity, right? Not your need, but the necessity of you to really look at your feelings and what they are. You know what I mean? Capricorn, you're not that vulnerable. You don't like to necessarily always be that vulnerable. You keep quite private about your feelings. But this is necessary for you to understand why there may continue to be obstacles coming your way, right? If you're not kind of going a little bit deeper. All right. And of course, that's what the high priestess is telling you this whole time too. But here it's even more reaffirmation in terms of love, right? If you want to bring in love, if you're having obstacles to love, the kind of love that you really want, and you're not really sure why, a lot of it is you needing to kind of examine your own heart and see what's really there and see what it is you really, really, truly want before you miss out on it. Yeah. All right. So it is safe for you to love, right? And you do deserve love. And you're certainly calling in your soulmate with the high priestess energy. So if you're tuning into this, you're resonating with it. Hey, like I say, you know, this is always just a possibility. The work is up to you. The options are yours. You make your own future. But this is certainly a possibility, you know. And if you follow this kind of path in terms of your self-improvement and your shadow work and, you know, working with your own emotions a little bit, which can be difficult sometimes because sometimes when we face our own emotions, we then also have to face up to past events where we may have, which we now would then regret, right? Because it's like that, you know, once you really examine like what it is you really want, like what you want in love and who you really are, then sometimes you look back on past occurrences or past relationships or past decisions you made and you realize you made the wrong decision in that moment, right? Because you weren't really being true to yourself, and then regret comes up, right? So that's what I'm talking about. It's not easy. Right? It's not easy to kind of do this, you know. It's easier said than done. And don't have any regret for any decisions that you look back on and say, wow, now that I see this now, I regret making that decision then, because all of that was necessary for you to even get to this point where you could see who you were. All right? So never regret, you know, the past. You know, the past is always part of what's gotten you to this point. Regret a future not taken, you know, regret a future not taken or an opportunity not taken when you know it's coming in, when you're aware of it. Don't regret things that have already happened you can't do anything about. But what's a pity is when you already kind of ruin future opportunities or you squander the future. You know, that's something I think that's more regrettable in the present moment, you know, not seizing opportunities that come your way. All right. So, my lovely Capricorns, this is you. Mid-June, lovers are coming in for you. Good times, money, creativity. It's a good reading. I love you guys so much. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. If it didn't resonate, hey, feel free throwing it away. Not all readings are for all people. Certainly not, this reading can't be for every single Capricorn on the planet. So if it doesn't resonate with you, please enjoy throwing it away. And look at some of the other Capricorn videos I have up, or look on the channels list at some of the other readers. You know, and I encourage all of my viewers to always check out other readers, because the more readers you look at, the more you will find the style that resonates with you. All right, but for right now, Capricorn, I love you so much. Have a wonderful June. Bye-bye.